Hello, everyone, and welcome to the July Lab. My name is Alex, and I'm the BFI Film Academy Festival and Events producer. And today, our lab will focus on a new immersive storytelling format called Screenlife. So with Screenlife, you can tell your stories entirely on your desktop or tablet or smartphone screens. So you use your desktop like it's a film set, and you use your cursor to show your protagonist's actions, which means that you can make Screenlife films entirely from home in this time of uncertainty and social isolation. The Screenlife technology was developed by the award-winning director and producer and Russia's top-grossing filmmaker, Timur Bekmambetov. The first film made in Screenlife format, Unfriended, made $65 million worldwide. And it was followed by another one called Searching that made $75 million, and also by the political thriller Profile, which won audience awards at South by Southwest and also the Berlinale in 2018. So we are delighted to have Timur with us today, who is going to speak to you about the inception of Screenlife, but also how you can use this revolutionary technology to make your own projects from home. But just before I introduce Timur, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how today's session will work. So my colleague Winnie will be managing the chat today. So if you have any general questions or comments on the BFI, the Film Academy, labs, or the Future Film Festival, for which the submissions are currently open, then please post your questions in the chat box, or just feel free to say hi, introduce yourselves. But if you have a question for Timur, then please can you put it in the Q&A box that's on the bottom of the screen. And my colleague Laura will be collating all those questions and will allocate the last 15 minutes of the session to your questions that Timur will answer. I also have to mention our partners, Rubin Foundation, who sponsor all BFI education events, and also our competition partner, Lacey, who will be giving away a 2 terabyte rugged hard drive at the end of this session. Just like last time, we'll be awarding the best question. So get your thinking hats on, and also make sure that you put your full names in when you are asking questions in the Q&A box so that we know who you are. And we'll announce the winner at the very end of the session. And I'll call your name live on Zoom. And if you're not around to claim your prize, we'll move on to the next name. So make sure that you stick around until the very end of the session. I also wanted to let you know that we received some great feedback from all of you after our last 2 events. It was all about how you guys started little networking groups to collaborate on each other's upcoming projects, which was really great and what we love to hear. So what we've done to help that networking and collaboration is we started a Facebook group for you guys to join. And my colleague Winnie will now post the link to that Facebook group in the chat box. But please feel free to join the group and share your contact details, your profiles, your portfolios in there, and start chatting to each other. And also I wanted to let you know that BFI Film Academy has a new Twitter account. Winnie will post the Twitter handle in the chat box shortly as well. So please do follow us so that you can be the first to hear about all our upcoming events, but also opportunities that we have for emerging filmmakers age 16 to 25. And finally, the session today will be recorded, and we will be posting this recording across our social media channels next week. And without further ado, I'm gonna give it over to Timur. Welcome, Timur.
Hello, guys. I'm happy to meet you all here, and I'm happy to be helpful and tell you everything what I know about this new way of storytelling. It all began probably 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, when I was in the United States, in Los Angeles, directing the movie called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and little bored by the production process of traditional movie. I had an idea that how it could be different, how I can make the storytelling and the process of filmmaking contemporary and relatable. And I had an assistant. His name was Nelson Greaves, and I asked him, Nelson, let's make something different, and because we all spent, I don't know, 6 hours a day minimum on our mobile phones and on screens of our computers, that probably most important events of our life happening not in physical space anymore, happening online. Otherwise, why we are so attached to the screens? And there was, before that, there was this one legendary moment in my life when I was on Skype with my producer partner from Russia, and we discussed the marketing campaign of our movie, and she shared screen with me, and when we finished the business conversation and switched the subject to another topic, she forgot to unshare the screen, and we discussed very serious part of the business and process, but I understood that I see what happening on her screen. I remember the moment when I saw she's buying some intimate stuff, calling her, typing, chatting with her friends, and I had an unbelievable moment when I suddenly understood that I'm inside her brain. I'm inside her, because we are not hiding things from our screens, from our web cameras, and I learned. I mean, like a minute later, I just said, Olga, sorry, I see everything what you are doing on screen, and you forgot to push an share button. She said, oh sorry, and then this was a moment when I understood that why we are not making movies about this reality, about screen life, about screen reality, and that's how I began the development of Unfriended. I told my assistant Nelson, just write please some script where the story takes place entirely on computer screen, and he did it. And then I called my other friend Leo Gabriadze, and he became a director of the movie, and then Adam Seidman was a producer, and then great people who edited, and we spent 2 years until 2014. We finished the movie. We learned how to make this kind of movies, this type of movies, and nobody believed. I knocked on every door in Los Angeles and Hollywood, telling people this is a new language, this is a new possibility to tell contemporary and relatable stories, and people, serious people, they said nobody believed me. And then suddenly we released this, we premiered this movie in Montreal at film festival, and it was great success. And then Universal bought the movie, and Universal released the movie worldwide, and this movie was successful. And it was a really helpful for the movie support from our friend from Jason Blumhouse company, because it was horror movie, and they helped us a lot to release the movie. Since then, we produced 10 movies, probably web show for Snapchat, sorry, for Snapchat called Dead of Night. We produced movie called Searching with Sony. We produced movie in Russia called Party, and now we have more than 30 projects in different stages of production. And at the same time, we understood that we found something really unique. I understand the importance of the not only producing but also teaching people and sharing what we learned with other people, because it's not we cannot feel we cannot make every story in Screenlife now. We need more people to be with us and help them. I will try to explain you roughly, like in general, the big ideas of the Screenlife. First of all, as it's very contemporary, I had a feeling for many years. I had a feeling that every movie I watched the last 5-10 years is outdated. Like I've seen something like that before. It does not matter, it's good movie or bad movie, but I've seen it before. Answer why? Answer is very simple. We live in the world of like detective stories. They are different now because I can Google things. Bank robbery. It's different because there is no reason to break the door and pull the gun and scream, "Give me cash," because there is no cash anymore. There's only numbers, there's only computers and data. And the bank robbery today, it's just a few guys sitting in cafeteria with their iPads and hacking. Romantic stories are different, and there is no more people climbing on the balcony with their flowers. It's more about the sending messages and chatting and it's the whole the every genre of the movie still exists in digital reality in Screenlife, but looks different. And unfortunately, for many years, film industry ignored this difference, and we found that it's very relatable because on every film festival we've been since 2014. We winning the same prize. We're winning the audience award, not jury prize, just audience award. It means audience sees the future better than the professionals. I think it'll be important for you guys to hear. Oh, yes, we have a website called screenlifer.com, and on this website you can find a lot of like lessons and recommendations, what kind of tools you should use, because you don't need film cameras anymore. I mean, you need, but not so much. But you need recorders, you need editing system allowing you to cut Screenlife video, which is recording, so to record your screen and use it for your storytelling process. And also Screenlifer is a place where you can find other Screenlifers, find the partner, find the investor, find the audience for your future projects. The language, is what I said, it's very contemporary, but it's very new. And for example, the screenwriting, of course, it's absurd. Looks like an absurd, but it's in our scripts. The script has a very interesting action paragraphs, like saying, you see there is a mouse on the screen, shakes and reaches the button called like a close, like a save the video, but did decide. Look, there's a lot of explanations. There is a action on screen. It's not only what you see in my captured by video web camera, but also explaining what's happening on your screen. But at the same time, there's no difference. It's still the storytelling. It's still the dramas. There is a character. There is a action. There is a goals and mid points and low points and structurally and it's the same as a traditional screenwriting, but the difference is the world you are exploring is different. It's a digital world. There is a interesting, unique possibility Screenlife provides us. If you see the screen of the character, you really feel what character feels. Because, like, for example, if I will open now, if you will see my screen, first of all, you will understand who I am, but because you will see is it chaotic on my desktop, or there's a order, or what kind of programs I'm using. Either a Mac or PC, or what kind of websites on my dashboard, whatever. It's very important information about the character. It's the same as to show the physical space where like a house of the hero. Also, Screenlife has, talking about the script. Screenlife has a unique, for me, what I think, request. You should write the script from first-person POV. This is my recommendation. It will really help to narrow the storytelling. Instead of saying, John opened the door and entered the room, you should write, I opened the door and enter the room, because Screenlife is very, very personal, and usually you see the screen of the character and you want to be with him, and the methodology to write from first person POV is very, very useful. If we'll talk about the for example, design, like in every movie has a production designer. In Screenlife, you still have a production designer, but your production designer taking care not only about this this poster behind me or the white wall. His decision mostly about what's on my screen. So as I said, what kind of softwares I'm using, what kind of images on my background. It's very, very important. It helps to tell the story. If we'll talk about the music, there's a different approaches. First, look, there is every movie, every filmmaker, every director on every Screenlife movie has his own style, and it's about music too. In a movie called Searching, Anish Shaganti, he made a choice, he made a decision to make this movie when everything is very cinematic, like in traditional movie, and there is a score music, there is a lot of choices came from traditional filmmaking. When I made a profile, I had a different idea. I decided that what if my character will choose the song, and the soundtrack of the movie will be formed by my hero, my character, and I will see how it's the process. Like, she had a Spotify, and and she picked the songs, and she changed the songs when she felt there is a following songs helping her to to go to pass all the obstacles of her life at this moment. And it was another choice. And there's probably many other possibilities in Screenlife. And the beauty of this language, the beauty of this format, nobody knows how. There is not so many books written yet. We only probably people who wrote the book about how to make these movies. And for example, the cameramen and cameramen. What to do with the cameraman in Screenlife? It was a big question. First movie we had officially, we had a cameraman. It was Unfriended. And cameraman was a producer, Adam Sidman. He was a cameraman at the same time. But in searching, I don't remember who was a cameraman. I don't remember this person. In profile, there was no cameraman. And in many cases, if I will grab my computer and will talk to you, swinging on my chair, I'm a cameraman, and it's my choices. And it's what's interesting. What I learned that we can, like for example, if I will turn upside down, and I'll be absolutely silhouetted, and it's a choice too. Maybe I will look scarier, probably, I don't know, more dramatic. And in Screenlife, actors are cameramen in many cases, and they make choices how to move camera, how to compose the frame, and I was surprised how professional we are today as a cameraman, because we all using our web cameras on taking pictures on Instagram or sending videos to our friends or broadcasting via whatever Instagram. We make these choices. We know how to look pretty or scary, or in this case, it was not a big deal to teach actors to use camera to tell the story. And what other businesses? This is like literally every profession has an interpretation in Screenlife filmmaking, but it's just interpretation. In general, every business still exists in Screenlife the same way that in traditional movie. What else I can tell you? There was somewhere there was a presentation. I forgot about it, and if I will see it.
I have the presentation. I'll show it shortly.
Yes. Okay. Sorry for being unorganized, because I just.
No, let me know which slide.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just go back and just go through the slides quickly. Okay. The Screenlife is it's a language. It's a film language, contemporary, relatable, and very effective, and new, and allowing you to find yourself to be the first. It's not because there's not so many people using it. It's very difficult to repeat somebody because there's nobody in front of you. Okay, next slide. This is a story. This is a video of my. So I mentioned to you, it was my Skype with Olga Harina, with my partner, when first time I discovered that she forgot to unshare the screen. I saw her Screenlife, and understand that it's a new film language. Next slide. This is just statistically, but I don't think it's correct today, because after virus era, we spent I don't know, 80% of our life on screens. It means everything happening on screen. today. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that it's fact. And if the logic is, if 80%, 6% of our events happening on screen means that 80% of the movies should be Screenlife movies. And now it's only, I don't know, 0.5% of content is Screenlife content, which means in the next 5 years, the amount Screenlife will grow, will grow, and it will need more talented people, more stories, more investment, more audience will pay attention, and I think all of you should think about trying to produce Screenlife content. Because 6 hours and 33 minutes online each day, I think it's before Corona. I think today is much more. The next slide, please. Yes, and there is we have a mission, because we didn't begin with the mission. We just learned that we have this mission. The mission is, I'll try to explain what it means. If we spend so much time online, I want to ask you, is it the same world with the same rules as the physical space, or it's different? My feeling is it's different. It's a different world. It's like we lived in the forests, and now we live in the desert. It's a different reality, because the rules of our immoral code existing in our physical space doesn't transfer automatically into the digital life. For example, in physical space, we know what does it mean. I don't know what does it mean that it's forbidden. It's not good. It's a deadly sin to consume constantly consume food, let's say, or something. We know that it's a deadly sin. You should stop. But in digital reality, in Screenlife, we consuming tons of megabytes, gigabytes of information, and we don't know. Nobody's told us. Nobody taught us that it's not appropriate. We should try to be human and to learn how to control ourselves. And it's not. I'm not blaming myself, because I'm doing the same thing. I cannot stop watching this stupid news every minute. We are falling asleep and waking up with a mobile phone in our hands, and it's not as good. It's just a problem. The problem is we cannot control ourselves. And our mission as a Screenlife filmmakers, to tell stories about it, because as we remember, thousands of years ago, when monkey, I don't know how it's happened, when the first time the humanity appears, people created very emotional stories, myths, religious books, telling the rules, in emotional way, not just like a law in the book. It was emotional stories, and I think we are really missing today. We live in different world, but nobody created mythology, and nobody wrote like Bible or Torah, or nobody told emotional stories about David and I don't know, Solomon or Mahabharata, and it's our business today, Screenlife filmmakers, to try to understand how we live and what's good, what's bad in digital life. Okay, next slide, please. And also we what we learn that that less and less we are using screens of our computers because we want to move, we want to be, we are I mean, I feel about myself. I'm using mobile phone more and more. I'm not using a laptop. And the content, little by little, we learn that content, we are flipping the content. Before it was all horizontal, and now it's more vertical, and it's ergonomic because it's easy to consume in your hand, because otherwise you'll break your fingers. And it's also one of the trends of Screenlife. It's a vertical content, and it's not only the aesthetic. It's not only the composition of the shot. It's also different context, because as we know, the horizontal calls landscape and the vertical calls portrait. And it means that when we are telling horizontal story in horizontal format, it's more about the environment. It's more about the action. And the vertical, it's more about the character, and more about the personality. Of course, I'm making a movie about World War II airplanes. And it's vertical too, but I'm just trying things. But organically, vertical, it's about persons, about your portrait, about the portrait personality, and I really, if you want to reach audience, like what we've done with the web show called Dead of Night with Snapchat, I don't know, hundreds of millions of people. You should think about vertical composition. Of course, it's difficult. You should change your mind. You should learn. You should discover something you was never taught in film school, but it's important. Okay, next. Yes, this is the Dead of Night. The Dead of Night was our first web show produced by Maj Nassif in Los Angeles almost a year ago, and it was a game changer for us because before we made movies for theatrical release. It was, by the way, it was very important for me to make the first Screenlife movies, Unfriended 2, and Searching and Profile, to make it theatrical, because it was statement. I was trying to declare that the Screenlife, it's a cinema. It's not just a game for geeks, concept for some experimental geeks. It's a real cinema. It was important for me, but of course, organically, the nature of the Screenlife movies, it's a digital distribution, and Snapchat was very, very successful to release Dead of Night. We are producing now. We released it last year. It became number 1, number 2, I don't know, show on Snapchat. We are producing now second and third seasons, and we're producing a movie based on this idea. It's a zombie movie about zombie apocalypse and shot on mobile phone, produced, told through the screen of the mobile phone. Okay, the next one. Yes, it's what I said. Sorry, it's my recommendation to write the script from first-person POV, and but it's not about Screenlife. It's in general. My tagline in screenwriting is: if you have a character, your hero, the person who you love or you hate, whatever, but still love. It should be maximum desire and minimum chances Like then, if you want to understand how good your story is, how just try to use this rule. Your character has a maximum desire and minimum chances. For example, I have a maximum desire to see you guys now, but I have minimum chances because you are all around the world watching my my lecture and your computers. But I will if I will start, I will start message you, please send me a picture. It becomes a story. We can really tell the story about the guy who tries to see all this, the audience in Zoom, the viewers. Can you next slide, please? Yes, this is a production example of production design. If Screenlife Movies needs a production designer, and the production designer is taking care about the world of the character. You see, you can easily understand how different these people are. The person who is owners of this desktops. We know, you immediately understand. And the production designer in Screenlife Movies, he has to invent, imagine, research, and help director to create the character in his world. The next, please. Yes, this is screenlifer.com. There is it's our website where you can find the information about the Screenlife, about the rules, about the history of Screenlife, about the community of Screenlifers. You can find recommendations, what kind of tools you can use to make Screenlife movies. I mean recorders, Screenlife recorders, and editing softwares, and tips how to make it. It's all on Screenlife. And by the way, on Screenlifer, you can find we have some kind of different kind of competitions and contests, helping people raise money and make their own Screenlife movies. We have many projects helping people to move forward. And next, please. Yes, this is Maria, and I want to introduce you, Maria Zalewska. She is in Zoom now, and she is the head of our development, and she can help you to, if you have some projects, ideas, and you want somebody to consult, to navigate you in Screenlife world, please contact her, and I'm sure she will help. This is I don't know. I think it's better if you will ask me questions, because I don't know what to say anymore.
Sounds good. Yeah, you can see me now. Let me start with questions. So, wow, we have over 50 questions, but we'll try to get through as many as we can. So we have from Ross Wilders, what was the hardest thing about making this new form of storytelling? Were people on board straight away, or did it take a lot of convincing?
The most I have two different personalities: producer and director. As a director, for me, the most challenging was to learn the language and to forget everything what I know, how to make movies, and learn new rules. Because you're trying to make your life easier, and the first mistake people doing is trying to use only web camera and use it as a camera, and then everything happening in physical space and nothing happened on the screen. I mean, Screenlife, it's not about web camera. It's not about what's happening in this window when you see me, I'm waving you. But it's more about what's happening on my screen. If I will share you my screen, you will see how I move the mouse, how I searching while I'm talking to you. And this is Screenlife, what you do on screen. not in physical space. And as a producer, the biggest problem for me was the biggest problem was for me to convince people to forget what they already know about filmmaking. And I'm not talking about only about directors or writers. It's also about actors. It's a different way of acting, and it's about the distributors and partners. But since virus era, since pandemic era, it's much easy because there is no other there's no other way to explore to explore yourself because you cannot shoot movies anymore, and Screenlife it's only way to express yourself as a filmmaker.
You mentioned that working with actors is different when you're doing it in Screenlife format. What tips would you give to young directors using this format when they need to work with their actors? Is there anything you learned?
Please don't capture the face of the actor only, because my most important discovery was that much more important and impactful to see the typing, searching, like a Googling, I don't know, saving files. When you see the process, when you see the acting, choreography of your character on screen, it tells you much more than just capturing the face, because they're trying to do the same as was done in traditional filmmaking.
And then we have a question from Julia. Despite the film being made on the small screen, do you have a preference of how the audience views these films, and why?
No, I think it could be. It's a different experience. It could be. It's unbelievably impactful in IMAX theater. Believe me, because when you see the computer screen of your character in IMAX theater, it's stunning. It's like so provocative and so beautiful, because it's an aesthetic of the screen life. At the same time, it's very organic and very organic and like a native when you see it on screen your devices, because you literally your hand, you're trying to interact with the story, to push the button, because when the character trying to make a mistake, you're trying to stop him. I think there is no good and bad versions. It's all interesting.
And are there any things that have surprised you about how others have used Screenlife? It's a question from Aaron.
Yes, it's why I'm producing. It's the only reason to produce, to entertain myself, because I'm producing other filmmakers, movies of other filmmakers. You're benefiting, because you have you don't need to. You have more surprises. You have more interesting choices, and that's why I'm producing more than directing.
Okay. Is there a scenario that you want to depict using Screenlife but haven't yet found a way to do it? A question from Nina.
I in my head, I have thousands of versions how it could be used, and I just don't have time to do everything. I believe that Screenlife movies could be sci-fi, I don't know, epic, could be science fiction, could be mystical fantasy stories. It could be musicals. It could be. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and I believe that it's why I'm here, where I'm trying to involve, engage people to try different things. I produced Romeo and Juliet now. It's a Shakespeare dialogues, and the story takes place on mobile phone of the Romeo and two teenagers. Everything, art house movies. It's just God created Screenlife for art house movies, because you don't need money to make it. You can express yourself like a writer. You need a pen and the paper. for writer. For Screenlife filmmaker, you need your laptop or mobile phone. That's it. You can tell the story.
Question from Nicholas Connor, who I believe is participating in our pitching session later. Have there been any issues with copyright when using Screenlife, showing applications or user interfaces?
Not yet. In many cases, because we are beginners. We are just we're not a big business. Because first of all, everything what you see on your screen is our legal department recommended us. It's a public domain because they broadcasting, they put it like logos, like an Apple logo, or if you are not harming them, there is no way you can they can argue. Of course, I think it will be the dilemma. It will be an issue in the future. But if you don't want to put Apple on the movie, we can put something else, watermelon. But who cares? We can replace. I don't think it's an issue now. And of course, when you're using the footage, something people created, like a video, of course you need to negotiate with people. You need to buy the rights or get the agreement.
And going back to writing, do you have any tips on what a screenwriter should keep in mind during the writing process when they're writing specifically for the Screenlife format? It's a question from Bikram.
It's exactly the same as a traditional screenwriting. You should be honest. You should love your characters. You should entertain yourself by telling very emotional story, and you should love the audience. You should learn how to write scripts because there are some rules. But I don't see the difference. I just feel that Screenlife writers should spend more time, should analyze how we live online. It just need like in traditional film schools, usually students going in the park and the street and just trying to make a notes what people do, like just collect the cases, faces, but the same is here. Spend more time. Don't write. Spend more time to learn about your personal screen life, and try to imagine the screen life of your character. Try to imagine how they write, what kind of mistakes your character usually doing on screen. It's the same.
I think actually it would be really good to mention here that at 2:30 we have a pitching session with Timur. So we are going to have 11 lucky people who've been selected to pitch their Screenlife ideas to Timur, pitch them live. So if you're interested in watching and seeing what kind of feedback Timur gives to our candidates based on their project outlines and their scripts, that might be interesting way for you guys to learn about Screenlife and what Timur is looking for. If you are interested in watching, it's open to everyone who attended this masterclass. If you just check your emails that you received this morning from Eventbrite, there is a link for that session at 2:30 as well. So do join us as well to get more insights from Timur. But moving on to the next question from Duncan Forbes. Do you think that Screenlife could be used to explore period pieces, even though the technology was not around back then?
We began, of course, we after Unfriended, I understood that there is not enough tools for Screenlife filmmaking. First of all, recorders, the biggest problem, what I learned, the recorders are recording the screen, but you cannot change elements. It's just all baked in. And we in 2014 or 15, we invested money, and I had an idea. We got a patent to create the recorder when you're recording not the image of the screen. We're recording the code generating this image, which means on the screen we're recording the code, and because it's a code, then every element on the screen is a separate object, and you can replace, you can make it clickable, you can change property, because we're recording not only visual elements, also properties of these elements. And this is a recorder called Clickorder. Our nickname Clickorder is clickable screencast, and you can find information on screenlifer.com. You can download. It's available, and many other tools helping us to make Screenlife movies. Is still visit screenlifer.com and you can find information.
We have an interesting question from Ingo Lal Goodwin. At what stage do you usually bring an editor to a Screenlife project? Do you involve them from the development stage, or do you bring them in later?
It was as early as possible, because sometimes, for example, searching, we produced animatic of the whole movie. Anish Shaganti, the director, he produced animatic of the whole movie before he met actors. He shot actors. In this case, the editor was involved and designed the shots and rhythm of the movie during the screenwriting process. I think screenwriting is a right moment to involve editor, because especially now, until you know how Screenlife language works, you need editor. You need somebody who will cut in your ideas and present you, then you can emotionally respond.
And go now talking about future of Screenlife. Do you see the future of Screenlife becoming more interactive? And how long do you think it will take for audiences to completely embrace this interactive way of filmmaking?
I think interactivity, it's a different different area. Storytelling in interactivity is slightly different goals, because narrative, it's a story you want to tell. Interactivity could be, it's easy to understand if we compare with the theater. In theater, the audience can also scream, yeah, or clap or something. It's interactivity. And I think this type of the interactivity is very useful, because, first of all, I believe that the Screenlife movies could be broadcasted, not like a theater. It could be real-time process, not recorded and edited before. It could be presented to the audience as a show. In this case, interactivity means a lot, because actors will feel the audience. When it's movie, when it's already done, cut it, interactivity has a different meaning. It's a possibility to split the storylines, and it's more like a game. It's another experience, but there is no good cases yet. I mean, there's a good cases in the game world, but not in the Screenlife movie. But it will be, because it's very organic for Screenlife, because it's very organic. You don't need to explain people in the game, in the computer game. You need to explain people, put the button on the screen and just tell them. But in Screenlife, you don't need, because people know where to click. And in the profile movie I directed, there is an interactive version when you can go and search all the folders of the character and just see what's there. It's real world.
We only have time for one last question. So I wanted to ask a question that relates to our next session, pitching session at 2:30. Ross Wilder has asked if there are any tips you would give young filmmakers who struggle when it comes to pitching film ideas. any specific techniques you would recommend, any advice?
Try to tell the story as personal as possible. Don't try to be businessman, producer. Just try to tell your personal take on the story, like the story, and then the rest is questions and could be discussed later.
Great, cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Timur. Thank you everyone else for joining as well, and for all your lovely questions. We had 77 questions. I'm sorry we're not able to get through all of them today, but thank you, Timur, for answering some of them. I know that you're all probably eagerly awaiting to find out if you're the winner of the LACY competition. But before that, I just have to say two things. One is that we've put a short survey together about this lab, and Winnie will shortly post a link to that survey in the chat box. It would be great if you guys could take a few minutes to just fill in that survey and let us know what you thought of this lab and whether you think we're improving from our last two labs. The link to the survey will also be emailed to you by Eventbrite after this session. So it would be great if you could, just fill it in and let us know what you thought. I also wanted to announce the next lab. The next lab will take place on the first Saturday, the 1st of August. And the title is Upskilling in Isolation, Exploring the Role of a Producer and Starting a Career in Scripted Film and Television Production. So in this lab, we'll offer an insight into the role of a producer. We'll talk about how you can identify the stories with most potential, how to get them off the ground and onto the screen. We'll also talk about the different producer roles that you can see on film and television sets for scripted format, and also the responsibilities tied to each role. So if you don't know the difference between the associate producer, assistant producer, and line producer, then this is the session for you. We will also explore the skills and experience that are needed for the various scripted production roles, and also the various career paths you can take to become the UK's next top producer. So that's on the 1st of August, and the registrations for that lab will open on Monday, the 20th of July. And the best way to hear about that event and all the updates that we have and when registrations open will be to join our Facebook event page that we created. Just click on attending. Winnie will shortly post the link in the chat box. Basically, if you just click on attending, you'll be the first to know when registrations open, when we announce the panelists for that session, and so on. And now on to the winner of the LACY competition. So I will call out your name, and if you hear your name, please can you write here in the chat box. I will give you a few seconds to do that, and if I don't hear from you, I will move on to the next name. So please be ready. So the winner of the LACY 2 terabyte rugged hard drive is Ingo Lyle Goodwin. Ingo, are you around? If so, here, amazing. Congratulations, great job, amazing questions, not one, but two amazing questions. I will be in touch with you next week about mailing the drive to you. Congratulations. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Again, as I said, if you want to attend the pitching session with Timur, that's at 2:30. The link will be in your Eventbrite emails from this morning. Please do join us to watch. Otherwise, have a great weekend and see you on the 1st of August. Thank you so much. Bye.